I'm watching TV.
Good evening, everyone who is joining. Let's have a quick quiz here. Someone is. Let's just wait a few minutes and see if there is someone here. Welcome, Mila, to the session. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to jump right in and start explaining the first assignment for this module. So at this stage, ladies and gents, for those of you who are listening to the recording, a very warm welcome to you from wherever you are listening. And I hope that you will find it beneficial when you do prepare your assignment going forward. So we're going to look at the assignment. Remember, this module is Entp 6211, which is Entrepreneurship 2A, Ideation. And what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on that first assignment that is due. Okay, so we've still got time to prepare the first assignment, and we are going to start looking at it. So remember, it is due on the 12th of September. So it's due on the 12th of September. You're going to be uploading it on VC Learn on the 12th of September. So we've got about 2 weeks still for that assignment, okay? So you'll find the assignment in your student materials on the portal. You'll see I'll explain that as well. And just to let you guys know, wherever you are listening from and whatever, if you've got questions as you're working through it, please let me know. So you all have my email address. You know how to contact me. So if you are going to be working on it, say now, after you've listened to the recording and there's something that is unclear, please just let me know and then I can see how I can help further, okay? Remember, though, don't email me a day before the assignment is due. That's not really going to help you much. So try and email me with at least a few days in advance if you are needing help, okay? But yeah, I will try and make this assignment guideline as thorough and as detailed as possible, and then we can reconnect and see how furthermore you guys are struggling or what you are struggling with and how I can help then as well going forward. So just a little bit of admin before we get into the actual questions on the case study. Remember, assignment 1 is found on the student materials portal, so you'll be able to download the assignments on the portal. And remember that you need to submit them on VC Learn before 9 p.m. So 9 o'clock is the deadline. Remember that in that week of September, there are thousands and thousands of students who are all submitting. So I always encourage the students to please submit with at least 30 minutes to spare. You know, like VC Learn is busy. It does get a bit slower when there are lots of contact students, lots of students across the entire country that are submitting at the same time, same deadlines. So please don't wait until 5 minutes to 9 to submit. Remember, if it is 1 second late, it is late. That assignment doesn't come to me. I can't say, okay, I'm going to accept it. It's only 1 minute late. It doesn't work like that. Then it's up to you to apply for an extension on the hub or to log a ticket or whatever it is. Remember, load shedding is not an excuse for late submissions. So remember that you won't get an extension for that. And remember, if you do need an extension, then all of those applications and documentations need to be submitted on the hub. You need to go to where you log a ticket and you will fill out a form there requesting the extension. Okay, remember that there are only a few extensions. I don't know all the rules, but I think it's maybe 2 extensions per semester. So don't use them when you don't need to use them. Keep them for a rainy day. And obviously, remember, referencing is absolutely critical. You need to reference. You need both a reference list at the end of your assignment, and you also need a bibliography, in-text referencing as you are writing the assignment. You need to have that in-text referencing as part of your paragraphs as well. So that's just a few general hints. Remember, ladies and gents, that you're going to use it as the same structure, so it works the same with the cover page, submitting it in the same place as per normal. You will generate a safe assign report, etc., etc. So all of that remains the same for this module as well. Let's jump into the questions. So let's have a look at some of the questions that you will be answering as part of this assignment. So the first question is made up of 3 separate questions as well. And we are speaking about Richard Branson. So we are speaking about Richard Branson. We're speaking about some of his entrepreneurial ventures. So as we know, Richard Branson is one of the most famous, if we can say, entrepreneurs that we know. But if you think of entrepreneurs, he is one of the names that come up to mind as well. Okay, so we're going to look at his ventures in a bit more detail. And the first question for 20 marks is telling us to look at any one of Richard Branson's entrepreneurial ventures. So it can really be any one of the shops, products that he is selling, creating, and you're going to look at how this venture addresses the need for entrepreneurship. So you're going to look at how Richard Branson's business that he has created, that he has started, how can that be used as a tool to sort of implement entrepreneurship within a specific country. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at for 20 marks. As a starting point, you can view pages 19 and 20 in your textbook or in your module guide. There they give you the characteristics of what make a business venture successful and what are some of the factors that are relevant in this venture that you would have. Okay, so we've got 7 factors that we know would highlight the need for entrepreneurship, and you are going to apply those 7 factors to the organization that you have chosen or to the venture that you have chosen. Okay, so your first starting point is to explain the venture. So highlight which venture have you chosen. So give a brief description of what that venture is. Is it a product? Is it a service? What is it called? Give a brief background of the venture or the business that you are going to be using for this question. It can be any one of Richard Branson's ventures. Okay. Then after that, you're going to focus on the 7 factors that tell us why we need entrepreneurship. So remember, as a starting point, like I said, you can look at page 19 and 20 there, where we see the entrepreneurial ventures, and you're going to apply each one of them to Richard Branson. Okay, so entrepreneurship, in this question that they're asking, they're saying that entrepreneurship plays a vital role in an economy. Okay, it encourages people to bring new and innovative ideas to the market, and some of the factors that you are going to discuss will say, why do we have a need for entrepreneurship? And you're going to take each one of those factors and you are going to relate them to the venture that Richard Branson started. So, for example, the first factor that you would be dealing with would be encourages innovation. So you're going to explain, what is that factor? What does it mean when they say encourages innovation? And then you're going to apply it to Richard Branson. So say now you are speaking about his Virgin Atlantic. Okay, so you're speaking about airplanes, whatever. How is he innovative in that space? How is he driving innovation within the airfield or the aerospace field that you would be using for that as well? Okay, so take each one of the factors and apply it back to Richard Branson's venture that you've got. So how does Richard Branson use those factors to address entrepreneurship within a country? And obviously then you would have an conclusion there. So you have a conclusion and it needs to be between 500 or 600 words. And there's also a rubric that you can use. So the rubric tells us that 15 marks are for content, 5 marks are for the structure. And remember, what is the content that we need? We need the description of the business that you have chosen or the venture that you have chosen. And then we need the 7 factors explained and applied to the venture. So how is that business that you have chosen? How are they applying these 7 characteristics or 7 factors to drive entrepreneurship in an economy? Okay. So that is question 1.1 for 20 marks. Quite a lot of work for 20 marks. So we open with a bang, a lot of information that you need. But again, not a difficult question that you would have, okay? So remember the case study that you're going to use here, because we're going to use it again in question 1.3. So remember the scenario that you have used and pick wisely, remembering as well that you're going to be using the same venture in a later case study as well, okay? Please, guys, at any point, if there are questions, let me know. I'm always willing to ask. If not, I'm going to just move on to question 1.2. Mila, if you have a question, you are welcome to raise your hand or type it up in the chat box. Perfect, thank you. So this is question 1.2. Sorry, I see there is a typo here. This is backwards. So the next question for 10 marks, we're looking at page 31 and 32 as our reference here. And they're asking you a statement. So they're giving you a statement and they are asking whether you agree or not. Okay. So the say statement says, different personality traits may have different effects on creativity. So different personalities have different effects on creativity. So in other words, your personality that you have will have an impact on how creative you are. Okay, so that's the statement that they're saying, and your job is to say, yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. Okay, as long as you can back up your answer, you can say yes or no. Okay, so you need to be able to say, I agree with the statement. I agree that different personalities have different effects on creativity, as long as you are able to give information as to why you say that, okay? And for this question, you need to be able to have evidence that you have consulted another source, okay? So you at least need one other credible source that you've got. Obviously, two would be ideal, but if you've got one, then that is good as well. So you need to be able to have another academic source that you have used, and then obviously you need to be able to justify it. So I always say to the students for this question, it's not so much whether you say yes or no. The main crux of the pudding here is in the justification. So I'm going to circle that word, justification. You have to justify. You have to say yes or no, but then you also need to justify. So why are the reasons that you need it? So for here, you're looking at about 8 or 9 facts that is going to justify your answer. So we speak about getting 1 mark for actually saying yes or no. So you'll get awarded 1 mark for that. And then you'll get 9 marks for the facts that you've got. So you need sort of 9 statements that you can use as a factual position as to say, back up why you say yes or why you say no. Okay, so that's very important. Like I say, the justification is where it becomes more important as well. Okay, so that is the question 2.1 for that as well. So it is 2.1, it's not 1.2. I was wrong earlier, so it is 2.1. There's only question 1.1. So 2.1 question for 10 marks, different personality traits and their effect on creativity. Your job is to read through page 31 and 32. So read through it as a starting point, but remember that you're going to have to consult another textbook or two, or some extra journals. You'll have to read them as well. And then you can also look at why do you say yes or why do you say no? Okay. So that's question 2.1. If we look at 2.2, again, we're speaking about creativity, okay? And this is a very important part in your textbook as well. You'll see they speak a lot for those of you who've gone up until learning unit 3 already, as per the guide that you would have done. You'll see they speak quite a lot about creativity and why creativity is important in entrepreneurship, okay? So for this question, for 10 marks, we are going to look at the 4P model of creativity, and you're going to apply it to the case study or the business venture that you identified in 1.1. Okay, so you can use that venture that you've looked at and apply this to that. Okay, so first and foremost, you need to understand what is the 4P model of creativity. What is it? Explain it in detail. So explain each one of the 4 P's of creativity. So if you look in your module manual, you can see the page references that I've given you. They can also go up there as well. So we look at the 4 P's. We've got many different factors of them, okay? So we need to be able to understand the 4 P's. And the 4 P's that we speak about in entrepreneurship are processes, persons, products, and the press, okay? So you're going to look at those sort of things that we've got. A creative person, you need a creative process, you need a creative environment, so that would be the press, that is the environment that you operate in, and you need a product that in itself is creative as well. So you're going to take the 4 P's, persons, product, press, meaning the environment, and you're going to apply it to the venture. So in other words, you're going to ask yourself, does this venture have creative people? Does this venture have a creative process? Yes or no? So again, use those justifications. Use those justifications to say, yes, this process has got that element of creativity or not, and it therefore follows the 4P model of creativity. Okay, so 10 marks, straightforward question. 4 marks for describing each P, and then obviously the 6 marks for application. So 4 marks for saying what each of the P's are and describing them, and then 6 marks for the application thereof. Then we look at question 3.1. Here we're looking at a case study from Ria Betswe, okay? So just to note, there are some errors on the assignment that I did pick up. Ria Betswe is the case study, and in some of the questions I talk about a Kia Betswe. It's the same person, so there's just a typo in some of the questions. But we speak about Ria Betswe. It is when they speak, when you see the question that's a K there, it is still the same person. So don't get confused about that. I have let the national office know, so hopefully they can correct it as well. So we've got a beautiful case study about this young woman, Ria Betswe, who takes tires, old used car tires, and she repurposes them into shoes and into other things that she can use as well. So she uses old tires and she repurposes them. She actually sells them and makes a profit from them as well. So the first question for 15 marks, you are going to look at where did she get these ideas from? Okay, so where did Ria Betswe get the source of the idea? So we're going to jump all the way to page 59 and 60, and we are going to focus on 3 sources of ideas. Where do ideas come from? So you're going to pick 3 sources of the ideas, and you're going to explain and apply them in accordance to the case study, in accordance to Ria Betswe, who is making these tires. So she makes school bags and shoes. She makes all sorts of things. If you actually had to go and research her, she's actually got a lot of things that she uses with these tires as well. Okay, so you're looking at 5 marks per sources that you would have. So 5 marks for each source, and you obviously need the 3 sources there. So you're going to be looking for 3 different sources. Okay, so you're welcome to use any of the sources of ideas. Okay, so it doesn't matter, and then you explain and apply, explain and apply. So that's where we're going to be awarding the marks for that as well. Okay, so we've got lots of sources that we're going to be looking at, and how do we actually look further for them as well. Okay, so what are the sources? Where do these innovative ideas come from? And how can we apply it to Ria Betswe? How can we say that this is where she got her idea from? So the question that you're going to be asking yourself is, how did Ria Betswe get her ideas? Where did she get them from? What was the source of her ideas? And why do you say that? Okay. Just quickly checking, Mila, if you can hear me. I see you wrote a note there. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Sorry, I only read it now. Thanks for confirming. So if we move on to question 3.3, again, we're looking at Ria Betswe, and now we're asking her, does her business meet the entrepreneurial characteristics? Okay, so you'll remember these entrepreneurial characteristics because we have discussed them as well. Now we are saying, does her business meet them? Is her business innovative? Is her business making a profit? Is her business doing something new? Is it reaching a target audience? So does Ria Betswe's business meet these characteristics or not? And again, you're going to either say yes, they do, or no, it doesn't. So again, you're going to get a mark for stating your position, stating what you think, and then you're going to justify your answer. If you say yes, Ria Betswe's business does meet the entrepreneurial characteristics, why? Find facts that are going to tell us why do you say yes? What are the evidence that her business is meeting these characteristics or not? Okay, so pretty straightforward there. For 6 marks, there's a page reference number there starting on page 19 again, looking at her business. So look at her business where she repurposes the tires and ask yourself, is this a true entrepreneurial business or not? Okay, so pretty straightforward question. Then we move on to the next one, where we're looking again at Ria Betswe's question. So this is question 3.3. Okay, now we're going to look at the 3 key contributions that Ria Betswe's entrepreneurial venture can make to South Africa's development. Okay, so how can she contribute to our economy in South Africa? And there are many key contributions. So we speak about this as the entrepreneurial activity in our country. How is Ria Betswe improving the South African economy? What is she contributing? What factors? What are the key things that she is doing which is helping South Africa's economy? Okay, so you are only expected to select 3 key factors, so you can choose any 3 factors, contributions that Ria Betswe is going to is going to be attributed for in South Africa. So what can she do in South Africa? What is she doing? What is her contribution to the economy? Because she's an entrepreneur, what are her contributions to the South African economy? And obviously, again, that must relate to the case study. Okay. Then the last question is our essay question for 30 marks, so a big essay question. We usually have 20-mark essays, but this one is a 30-mark essay question. You're going to analyze the 5 types of thinking used in ideation. Okay, so we've got a big chunk of work that we're covering for this question. We are looking at all 5 types of thinking, and you are going to explain each one of the types of thinking. You're going to give an example of each, okay? And you're going to do all that in the correct essay format. So pretty straightforward, nothing fancy, nothing that needs to be applied to a specific case study or scenario. Step 1, looking at the 5 types of thinking, explain them. So go into detail to explain each one of those 5 types of thinking. And then step 2, think of an example. So it doesn't have to be a lot of examples. You can just think of one example would be sufficient in each type of thinking and quickly explain that. So explain the type of thinking that you would have there. And then we're going to be looking at the structure. So make sure you've got an introduction, make sure you've got a conclusion, make sure you've got a neat professional work that you've got as part of the structure that you would have for that. Okay, so there is a rubric that you can look at, which is attached to your assignment, and obviously there's a word limit, so between 1,200 and 1,500 words for that. Correct essay structure. No airs and graces here. Pretty straightforward, ladies and gentlemen. We are looking at each type of thinking, so the 5 types of thinking, and then we're looking at an example for each one of those. And that basically is your assignment. That is the assignment in a nutshell. That is what is expected of you. So 4 questions, The first one speaks about Richard Branson and an entrepreneurial venture of your choice. Then we look at the second one where we look at a little bit more creative and justifying that statement. Do you think different people have different levels of creativity? Question 3, all the questions in question 3 are applicable to Ria Betswe. So we need to look at her and her business where she takes the tires and remodels them. And we want to know, is this creative? Is it innovative? And how does her business help South Africa? And then the essay question to end it all off when we speak about the five types of thinking, entrepreneurial thinking. And that is everything, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that you can now go and sit and complete your assignment at ease because you do have a little bit more background on it. Please, if you are struggling, reach out to me. Let me know. Like I say, I'm always willing to help. Let me know if we can have another session sometime. I can pre-record something again to explain a few concepts in more detail. Other than that, I wish you a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining, Mila. It's appreciated. And please let me know if there's anything else that I can do. All right, keep well, everyone. Good night.